Hello, and thanks for joining us today. I am super excited you could be here because today we're talking about how you can make some money with real estate. We're going to talk about investing, we're going to talk about wholesaling, we're going to talk about some really good stuff and how you can get the training, the support, and we're going to talk about the methodology to actually succeed with this kind of real estate investing. So with us today is Nathan Payne. Now, Nathan actually grew up in Atlanta, Georgia, but currently actually lives in Canada. He actually moved from Salt Lake City, where I'm going to visit in a matter of weeks. And then we got to talk to him because he just bought a farm in Canada, which is super cool. So at 19, he actually went on a church mission for 2 years in Portland, Oregon, where he strived to serve others. And after that mission, he went to college at BYUI, where he discovered his love for entrepreneurship. Now, in college, Nathan started doing door-to-door sales and soon became one of the top salesmen in the company. He ran multiple teams over the years and generated thousands of accounts for the company. In his senior year of college, Nathan followed one of his dreams and opened up a music venue and a cereal bar in a town called Skizzy, which would be awesome to live in a town called Skizzy. I just want to say that. It was a dream of Nathan's to create a place where people could come, hang out, eat a bowl of cereal. I love that. My son would love that. He lives off cereal. So after graduating from college, Nathan worked on door-to-door sales until he decided to get into real estate. And with no prior experience in real estate, he decided to learn by taking massive risks, imperfect action, and by failing his way forward. Now, 5 years now, he's the now co-owner of Offer on Homes, his real estate investing company, and Investor Thrive, a coaching company dedicated to helping wholesalers and real estate investors acquire more real estate the painless way. Nathan, what's up, man? Thanks for joining us.
Man, that was great. No, I'm doing well. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, I'm excited, man. You've done some really, really, really cool stuff. So, why the jump? I mean, what got you in the jump from door-to-door sales, where it seems like you were killing it, to get started in real estate to begin with?
It's a pretty transient lifestyle. You're moving all the time for each basically every year you go to like a new area. They uproot you from where you live just so you don't have incentive to like stay home and be lazy. So they move you to a new. They say, "Hey, go work in Indiana." I told you I was in Terre Haute, Indiana. Dallas, Vegas, everywhere. Just so you're there for 3 months to work, and that's what you do. Is just I was in college, and we just got a bunch of college kids to uproot and just go knock doors somewhere. But when I graduated from college, I got married, and I was like, man, I don't want to see myself knocking doors. Even though the money's good, I don't see like this being what I want to do long term. So, didn't want to move around. So I decided, hey, what can I do that will keep me in one spot? Right. That's
Yeah.
what I wanted.
So, why choose real estate?
It was interesting when I first was looking for a different career path. I didn't really know much about like wholesaling, fix and flip, real estate. I actually went and tried checking out insurance first. I was like, well, insurance. I know a couple people that make a lot of money doing that. So I started interviewing at like medical sales and like providing insurance like on the medical side. Property and casualty. I just started interviewing at places like State Farm, even like with like normal like car insurance and stuff like that. And I didn't really enjoy the interview process. I was like sitting down in front of these guys and they were asking me all these questions, and I was a good salesman at the time, and I had been making really good money at the time. So I felt like I didn't really like the process. They're like, well, why should we hire you? And I'm like, hey, I produce a lot, but they didn't really know, and they didn't really know what I was good at. I guess I couldn't really prove it to them. So I was like, man, I don't really like this. Let me just do my own thing. And so I called up my buddy who was a roommate at the time, roommate in college that did real estate, and his dad was wholesaling in Missouri. And said, hey, do you still do real estate? He's like, nah, I don't do real estate right now, but I want to. I was like, let's start a real estate company. Like, I'm gonna drop my door to door thing. Let's just go all in on some real estate, and that's how I got started. I just didn't want to interview anymore, and thought real estate was a good idea.
There's a lot of different areas of real estate, commercial, residential. There's all different kinds of properties type. There's wholesaling. There's flipping. There's Airbnb, short term, long term. So, what made you? It sounds like you had a lead in somebody you knew in wholesaling. Is that why you went into the wholesaling route?
That's pretty much it. Yeah, we had no money. So wholesaling was a good route because we didn't you don't need any money to get started to do a deal, right? You don't need any capital or anything like that. Obviously, like you can use capital and money to like generate leads and go deeper into it, but essentially like you just need to find someone who wants to sell their property at a price that makes sense and then assign it to an investor for a fee. So that's why. It's not that I didn't have money either. My wife was a dental hygienist. I had saved up a lot of money from door to door. So it wasn't like, oh my gosh, this is like the biggest risk. But my wife was like, if you want to do this, you gotta start fresh. Like, you want to follow your dream or whatever, you want to do your own thing, go. You just have to uh, start from zero. No money from us at least.
Yeah, and it seems that way. It seems like in real estate investing, you've got wholesaling and fix and flip, which is where you go if you're trying to get the money to invest. And then if you have the money to invest, you might be going to long term, short term, BRRRR method, all that kind of stuff. Pretty fair assessment to help people kind of determine of which path they're trying to go into.
Yeah, I would say that some people are pretty savvy and they know how to raise capital immediately, and people will trust them. I didn't feel like going into that route because I didn't really know what I was doing yet, so I didn't want to start asking people for money to go invest when I didn't really know that much about the industry. So yeah, I went that route. I went wholesaling, fix and flip. Yeah, and that's where I've been ever since. Now I teach people and help people get their first or next deal and help them get deals consistently monthly.
So it seems like on that side, if we stay on the I want to make money to invest or just make money, then it seems like to me that wholesaling seems like the biggest entry point, easiest entry point because you're learning about properties, you're learning about, values, you're learning about buying the property right. And then it seems like that you can figure that out in wholesaling if you stick with it. Then you probably could segue to fix and flip next because you have that foundation you need to transition. Is that accurate? Is that kind of what you're teaching your students to do?
100% accurate. Yeah, most people they transition to pretty much anything after wholesaling because wholesaling is like identifying a deal. That's like really what it is. You have to go find a lead, whether that's on market with a real estate agent or off market, that's direct to seller. You identify if it's a deal and then you get it under contract and then you sell it to an investor for a profit. So you obviously have to get a good deal. And then like where I transition to fix and flip is, oh, hey, this is a good deal. Someone's willing to pay us like 20K for it, but if we just flip it ourselves, we'll make 50 or 60 or 70. So it makes more sense. Let's just take it down ourselves. So depending on where you're at in the cash flow in your business and where your account's at, you either take it down or you wholesale it.
So Nathan Payne, Payne, and then you have something called the painless wholesaling, which I think is freaking brilliant, by the way. I love that. So,
Thank you.
like,
Yeah.
tell me a little bit more about the painless wholesaling method that you actually have that you're teaching to your tribe.
Of course. So painless wholesaling, painless flipping is what we call it now. What that is when you look for a deal, there's a lot of problems that happen. Like if you just focus on acquiring a deal, right? So you can spend months, and this is what happened to me and what happens to most people. They spend months trying to find a deal, weeks. It doesn't matter, like the timeline. But you spend the time trying to acquire a deal, and then you're like, okay, who am I going to sell this to? And then once you have it under contract, you give yourself 7 days, 14 days due diligence, 3 days, whatever you agree with the seller. And then you have to find someone. And that's when a lot of wholesalers, myself included, when I first started, we just scramble. We scramble to find somebody. And what painless flipping is, it's showing people how to leverage relationships with cash buyers, so you do not have to scramble and you're more prepared when you do get the property under contract because not a lot of new people are ready, right? They that's like an afterthought when it's really shouldn't be an afterthought. It should be something that you focus on because again, if you're spending months trying to find a deal and then you lock up a deal and you find out that you have the worst house in the whole city on the worst street and you've been comping wrong, you just wasted 3 months of your a lot of you could say you wasted a lot of your time. So painless flipping is just leveraging relationships and making sure you're taking people through the right process so they have the right expectations on what you can do to help them out.
So so what you're teaching your tribe, is it every aspect of wholesaling from how to get in to how to get to that point and beyond? Or do you help them get from that point of once they have a deal forward?
every aspect once we get into like if you work with me one on one at the apprenticeship level, right? But yeah, I would say yeah, every aspect of but when you're teaching people how to do something from the start, you really can't give them the whole piece of the pie at once or they'll be overwhelmed. So we start people off with generating leads and finding opportunities and identifying an opportunity, and then we actually help people negotiate their deals. We talk to the sellers, we help them get it under contract, and then we take care of the disposition selling it process because to throw all that at one like I'm just saying there's a big problem. Usually people can't focus on doing it all at once. So we do it in little bit bite-sized chunks, but yes, we do it all.
So your community then, if you start with lead generation, what are some of the ways that you teach your tribe that they can start to generate leads for wholesaling?
Well, most people are starting with a budget, right? Or with no money. So there's three distinct ways that we teach people to get deals. Direct to seller, and that's we usually focus on pre-foreclosures because those are people who I would say have a immediate pain point versus like a tired landlord or absentee owner list where you're just calling landlords and seeing if they want to sell. Pre-foreclosure, that's someone that's behind on their payments. So it might be hard to get a hold of that person, but when you do, you know that most likely they're motivated to solve their problem, right? So that's direct to seller. Direct to agent is when you make offers on properties that are listed, but they're distressed properties. So there you go. That's free as well. And then you have direct to wholesaler, and that's seeing other wholesalers who have deals who haven't done it the painless way that are scrambling, and then you can go and leverage your relationships to help them close their deals through JVing, joint venturing is what it is, and bring a buyer to their deal and making money that way. So those are the three ways that we mainly teach. Obviously, we know all of them, but those are the three we focus on.
So if you're talking about, and these are, I like this because this is all about not spending money or as little as possible because like you said, people getting are there. So it
Right.
seems like you're teaching people how to go out and how to get these pre-foreclosure lists, basically. How you can find the pre-foreclosure lists, and then from there, how you can actually come in the direct to seller. Of these three models, which do you like the most? Do you like the direct to agent, direct to seller, or direct to investor, or are there other variables that control which one you might choose?
They're all great, but for me, I love direct to seller. The pre foreclosure model going direct to seller is always great because you can make the biggest spreads and you can see how you can impact people's lives directly. Like you see what's happening. Direct to wholesaler is, I would say, it's easier because it's just, the deal is already there. You just have to bring it to your buyer. That's easier, and I like that. But there's pros and cons to everything. The direct to wholesaler is you the spreads usually aren't that big, right? Because you're splitting, you're
Sure.
bringing a deal, so you're splitting it with the other wholesaler. Direct to agent has its. I don't really prefer. I don't like that one that much, just because a lot of agents, unless you have built that relationship, they're like pretty hard to deal with. I would say, like they yeah, just not my favorite, but it works. So that's I would say those are my answer.
If I'm doing a direct to seller pre-foreclosure, I'm staying in
Right.
my area, Tampa Bay. How do you
Right.
even begin the process of trying to figure out where to get that kind of list to know if somebody's in a pre-foreclosure status?
Yeah, great question. So, Batch Leads is a software that I use, and I refer to all the people I work with, and I say you can. It's just a pretty simple list to pull. You just say, "Give me the pre foreclosures in this area." It will give you the pre foreclosures. You can use artificial intelligence to kind of even tell you to dial in on which ones to reach out to first. If you're worried that the list on any data provider is not that good, you can go straight directly to the county. And you can even dial it in even deeper and talk to the county and say, hey, who are the ones on this list that are going to the auction, next week, in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, so I can really focus on the ones who are, haven't taken care of what they need to, and they're probably scrambling. So yeah, I would say batch leads is great, and then direct to county if you want to dive a little bit deeper. That's where you would start with the lists.
So if you, and then what do you find is the best way to reach out to these people? Are you texting? Are you calling? Are you emailing? Are you direct mail? Are you showing up to their house?
It depends on the process you take it through. So take them through. So I actually, like I say, start off with the easiest ones, right? Like where you can text and call. It doesn't require you to do much, right? So you text and call, and you take that through like a specific amount of times. Usually, if you do it once, you're not going to reach out to them, right? So it requires follow up and repetition. Text and call for 3 times in a week, right? Text call, like do that for a week. And if you don't get a hold of them, then you have other numbers that you can reach out to, like maybe reach out to their relatives. and say, hey, I'm trying to get a hold of John. I see blah, 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 right? I'm trying to get a hold of him. Do you know who it is? If you're not getting any success with that, you could assume that no one else is really getting a hold of them. So the next step would be, let me go knock the door and leave a flyer. You go knock the door, they're not home. Go knock on the neighbor's doors. Hey, I'm trying to get a hold of blah, blah, blah. And you're obviously leaving a flyer there. If you don't get anything from that, then you would go mail and you would stay consistent with your mail.
So if you're doing this, how receptive are these people? I mean, they're definitely in distress, but I imagine you probably for your tribe have scripts or something of what they should say, how they should say it, where it doesn't offend the person and
Right.
opens up the person to the possibility of doing something.
Yeah, we have scripts and we have everything dialed in. The marketing message is really important because when you start as a real estate investor or wholesaler, like you think the messaging needs to be like, "Hey, I'm calling because I want to know if you're open to selling," right? But that can be pretty offensive to someone going through pre-foreclosure, right? Like just to get calls like, "Hey, do you want to sell your house? I know that you're behind," right? Uh, kind of the same thing when you look at probate. Like, hey, someone just passed away. Hey, do you want to sell your house? Like, you have to be sensitive to the situation they're in. So our marketing message is, hey, I specialize in working with people that are going through the pre foreclosure process. We know different options that enable you to avoid the foreclosure to help you stay in it, or if you're interested in selling, we also can help you with that. So that messaging is a lot easier to, I would say, accept or receive than, hey, do you want to sell immediately without establishing rapport? And that's what kind of separates the message from what's going out from
And then in
others.
that case, somebody agrees and says yes. Then what are you doing? Are you just writing, or do you have a real estate agent involved, or are you just writing a contract between them and your company?
That's right. Yeah. So what you do is you let them know of their options, right? Because if you can save someone from pre-foreclosure with an option like they didn't know about, like a loan modification or something else like that, then yeah, that's good. We'll feel good about that. And we know if they want to sell in the future, then we'll be there and they'll trust us. Now, if they want to sell, then it's just a negotiation at that point. Hey, what do you owe? What are you behind? How much are you looking to walk away with? Let's see what we can do. And then you sign an agreement direct to seller there. That's about
So
it.
to take a step back, if you're doing what you described about, let's say, text and phone calls, and then knocking on doors, you're not doing that physically, right? Are you having other people? Do you have people on your team that just go out and do that kind of part of the work?
So I'm referring mainly to the clients that I work with that want to learn how to get
The
into this. That's
tribe,
what
right?
I'm telling them
Yeah.
to do. For me, I'm busy enough like helping them through the process. So I'm not doing any of that. I do everything virtually. So if anyone's in any market, I'm walking them through this process. If they decide they want to go for direct to seller. If they want to go direct to agent, they have that option. If they want to go direct to wholesaler. So it really just depends on the option they pick. But even if you want to do pre foreclosure and you're not in that specific market, you can still do this. The only thing that you're not going to be able to do is knock on the door. That's the only difference if you're not in that market and you want to be, working there and you don't live there.
So when I'm looking at your websites, a lot of it is, hey, have a lead, we can help. So then at that point, your student comes in, they've done the work, they've got a lead, and then do you help them from that point on, or do they usually sign the contract, then come to you and go, I got this guy locked down? Then you're helping them actually find the buyer of that paper.
It's really interesting. It just really depends on the specific deal and this client itself. Some clients, like, even though we'll tell them exactly what to do, they'll want to be their hand held all the way, and we'll sign the agreement. We'll do everything. We'll do everything, right? And some other ones just want us to tell them what to do, what to say, and they'll go do it. So it really depends on how comfortable they feel and where they're at in their journey and what they want. It really just depends. But what you're talking about on our website, we that messaging is like, hey, like, if you're interested in what we do and you have a lead, we'll tell you what to do even if you're not in our program, we'll give you some advice and then you can see kind of what you get out of working with us. So that's kind of that messaging around that.
And you have a couple different things. So it sounds like you have what do you have? Let's start there. Like if I want to come in and I'm like, dude, this is awesome. He's got this figured out. What kind of services do you have for me that I can potentially get from you? Like mentorship, coaching, like what is available?
So At the moment, we have, I would say, a low ticket, if you want to call it low tickets, like program. It's just a course. It's like $197, and that teaches you how to go direct to wholesaler. You want a JV?
Where
I'm
can
gonna
I
give
get the
you.
course? Sorry to interrupt, but
Oh yeah, it's all good. So I filter everybody to my Facebook group called Painless Flipping Wholesaling Real Estate Simplified. At the Facebook group, you have everything that you need. If you were like, well, I don't want to go to your Facebook group, where do I go? It's painlessflipping.com/VIP dash academy. Now, I don't expect anyone to remember that, but if you're interested in anything I'm saying, if you just go to our Facebook group, that's where we do the free community. We do free weekly training. We give away free courses as well. So go to the Facebook group. You're going to get everything you need from me. Um, but yeah,
and I'm sorry, what was it?
that's
I
where
want
you
to put
get
that
the.
link on the show resources page. So it's painlessflipping.com. And by the way, it's not painless, Pain for those listening. It's Payne,
Yeah.
painless flipping. Play on Nathan's last name. So it's painlessflipping.com /
VIP
Okay.
and then dash academy.
Okay.
It's called
Perfect.
it's called the VIP dash academy. That's if you want to just don't want any coaching, don't want anyone to like tell you like you just want the course, you want to just figure it out yourself. It's 197. And then everything else is going to push you to book a call so we can talk about how we can help you in our apprenticeship. And then our apprenticeship is, hey, we're going to work with you hands on to help you close a deal. And we can't take everybody. Obviously, we wouldn't be able to perform and give as much support as we need to. If we had everybody in it. So that's more of like you book a call and it's an application to see if like if we're a good fit, whether you're a good fit for us or we're a good fit for you.
Makes sense. Then I have a lead. I've gone through, let's just say I buy the course to start with, right? Because a lot of people
Yeah.
probably start there, right? So they
Right.
buy the course, and then I'm like, okay, this is great. It worked. Now I've got a buyer on the hook. Then what happens? Can I come to you, or do I need to be part of do I need to be part of the apprenticeship, or can I just come to you and say, "Dude, I got a deal. Like, can you take it and take a piece? And how's that work?
Good question. Yeah. So if someone joins the JV Academy, which is the 197, where they want to learn how to do it all themselves, that teaches them how to find a deal and find a buyer for it. So if they came to me and said, "Hey, can you help me find a buyer?" I'd say, "You have everything you need, and we're pretty busy with our people that are in our apprenticeship. So that's not really like, hey, let's partner. The
Sure.
apprenticeship is like, so if they're like, well, hey, look, I really want help hands on, and be like, perfect, that's what we do. Let's book a call. So yeah, it's everything is like, hey, do it yourself in the JV Academy, figure it out. We give you everything you need to do it. But if you want that support and that help, let's talk.
Where do I go to learn more about the apprenticeship?
So that's just painlessflipping.com.
Okay, so that's the main website
That's the main website
is where
or
I'm able to.
investorthrive.com. They both go to the same landing page, which is book a call, let's chat. Everything that I do, every free training, everything I give away basically ends at you want to do it yourself or do you need our help? And if not, you don't want any of that, just enjoy our free stuff and do what you got to do, figure it all out.
And I just want to say how much I admire and love you for that because so many people are out there trying to sell something, which is great. It's okay. It's okay to be transactional and make money and do all that stuff, right? But I just love that you are a giver and you can tell givers because givers believe that. You want the person to get an end result. And some
Of
people can
course.
afford to pay a lot of money, some people can't. And you give a free path and then you give a very ridiculously underpriced, let's just say way underpriced
Right.
path, and then you give here you get one-on-one treatment, so you get help. It just shows you're out there to help everybody that you can by giving those three different paths. I just massive admiration and respect for you doing that.
Yeah, no, that's that. When I started, I was in the position that I feel like everybody is like confused, not sure what to do, not consistent, not confident what they're doing. So I know what it's like, and I wanted to create a path to help people. And I originally I wanted to be a teacher. That's what I wanted to do. But teachers don't make a lot of money unless you live in Canada, and then they make like six figures, which is interesting. But yeah, so what I'm doing is what I want. Like I want to teach people how to be successful. I want to teach people how to get into this, and paid a lot of money for courses and mentorships that you thought you were getting like a one-on-one mentorship and help, but really you're just paying for more information in like a weekly call. But that's not what I do, and that's not what I think actually helps people.
Makes sense. What about the easy flip done for you? You have like then we move from wholesaling to flipping, and you guys are pretty aggressive in that. So what do you do, and what does somebody need to know about the flipping side?
When it comes to the flipping side, it pretty much comes into the apprenticeship model. Everything's just in there. Like if you have a flip, like if you have a property that we could flip, then we'll navigate that with you as well. So that's just if someone were to be like, hey, what is easy flip? Like, what do we do? It's all integrated into that. How we can help you with that process.
So everything you do is to help people soup to nuts through wholesaling and through flipping so they can get the money to basically do STR, short-term rentals or long-term rentals or the other things that they may want to do. And then you probably do provide them some guidance to go into those other areas once they really figure out the flipping and the wholesaling part.
We uh we don't really. We just direct them to if they need additional help, like or want to go to like you said, short-term rental. We do have relationships, but we don't really teach that. We would mainly just like push it on to someone else that we know within our community.
When you in the course are teaching people how to go out, what are some of the ways you recommend for people to go out and find a buyer? Because you already covered part of it. And by the way, if you're watching this, just you don't be naive. Like this isn't easy, right? There's a reason that he does this for a living. And you come on a podcast like this, and it's like, oh yeah, well, I know how to get leads, and I do this. I'm gonna do it on my own. You're gonna mess it up. He could probably sit here and for an hour and tell you horror stories of
Oh,
himself and his students and the money lost from trying
yep.
to screw this up. Okay, so just disclaimer here. So, Nathan, that being said, like, what kind of things do you teach somebody to be able to go out and find a buyer for that contract?
So batch leads, going back to software, it's very easy to see who's buying properties and flips within the area where you have a property. So we teach people, hey, just start making some calls to some real estate agents and the buyers who have flipped properties recently within the area. You can also call title companies and reach out to the escrow officers there and say, hey, look, I have a property. Do you know anyone that's actively looking for properties within this area? Sometimes title companies will give you that information, especially if their buyers are like, hey, do you know anybody? Like buyers will sometimes talk to their title companies and say, hey, I'm looking for more. Just stay on the lookout. And that's how we've gotten a lot of our buyers as well. So those are just two quick tips: batch leads and title companies.
Perfect. Love it. Nathan, I don't know what happened because we just blew through 30 minutes here and I have so many more questions. So I might have to bring you
Wow.
time. But where can everybody go that's watching this to be able to go learn more about the apprenticeship, about the course, about you, what you're doing? Where can they go? Should they go?
Two simple ways. Painless flipping, wholesaling real estate simplified is my Facebook group. It's the free one. It's got a free 90-day action plan, free course. We do free training every week on Thursdays at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. A lot of information, a community where people are trying to help each other out. That's the Facebook group, free Facebook group. If you like consuming videos and instructionals through YouTube, I have a YouTube channel called Nathan Payne, Painless Flipping. Yeah, those are the two places where I would recommend people to go, where you're going to get the most information and in the fastest amount of time.
Thanks, Nathan. I appreciate you coming on with us today.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, so listen, if you're watching this and you're just trying to break into real estate, this is really the place to start. I mean, if you jump in on the wholesaling side, then you can start to acquire the money that you need to be able to take a next step. I didn't ask Nathan how much you make, but I think and what I've seen in the past, you can make really good money. Oh, actually, Nathan, let me jump in and ask that. Do you have an
Yeah.
idea of an average of what somebody makes like on initial wholesale deals, or are there just too many variables to even pin that down?
Oh, there's a lot of variables. It depends where you're working. Like if you're on the West Coast where the price points of homes are higher, you can be making like 30, 40K per deal. If you're Midwest where the houses aren't worth as much, maybe like 10, 15 per deal. But I would say if someone's able to do 10 deals a year, they're doing six figures plus. Yeah. So
Yeah.
you can make quite a bit.
Everything in line with what I've seen. So you're talking about making 100K plus potentially. Of course, it all depends on you effort. I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying there's a lot of money in wholesaling to be made if you can figure this formula out. Many
Right,
people
right.
strive, waste a lot of time. They're not able to figure it out. What Nathan does is just simplify this whole thing. It gives you multiple different methods. You can go get his free training, which you should. You should look at the painless method, or is it painless?
Flipping.
painless
Yeah.
flipping
Yep.
Facebook groups. You're going to go and type in painless flipping, Payne, not Pain, Payne,
That's right.
painless flipping. Find that on Facebook. Just right now, just join the group. It's ridiculous. It's like free. Just go be part of the group. And
Sick.
then the next thing is go to YouTube, and you can find him there on the YouTube channel just by also searching Nathan Payne, painless flipping. So either one, if you probably put in painless flipping, you'd probably find him. If you just type
That's
in
right.
Nathan Payne, you'd probably be able to find him. And then go ahead and start watching the YouTube channel. That's going to get you the free path to start getting the education that you need. Then the next step you want to take is you're like, hey man, this makes sense. It's $197 freaking dollars. When this thing ends, when I hit stop, I'm going to scold Nathan for making it so cheap. I'll be telling you, I'll be like, are you crazy? Why would you do all this for $197?
Yeah.
That's what I'm going to say. Then if I am good as a salesman as I think I am, he's going to raise the price on that thing, and then you're going to pay a lot more, which you should be. So make sure before that happens that you go to painlessflipping.com/VIP/academy. And that's going to get you access to his actual step-by-step course that teaches you everything. You heard him. I'm like, what if somebody has a deal? Like, they learn all that in the course, like everything needs in the course.
Yep.
Then, if you're at the level that I like to be at, and you really want the handhold guidance, faster, easier, better results, more money, simplified, all that stuff, then what you really want to do is the apprenticeship. And if you go to painlessflipping.com, then you'll see all over the page the places where you can easily go to actually just be able to submit for a call, schedule a call. Then you can talk to his team and have actually one-on-one guidance and expedite the results of this. Keep in mind, this is the path to be able to make the money. Then he takes you to the next path, which is flipping, which is substantially more money. And then you're doing a handful of these or less. You got enough money to start doing short-term, long-term rentals and everything else you want to do. So make sure that you take these steps. Make sure you go to Painless Flipping and find Painless Flipping on the Facebook page group. Make sure you do that right now. Then search Nathan Payne or Nathan Payne Painless Flipping on YouTube. Go ahead right now. No, I mean like now. Stop what you're doing and go do it and subscribe to YouTube. And then also don't forget that if you're interested in the step-by-step course, you want to grab that at painlessflipping.com/VIP/academy. Look, you can tell a giver, you can tell a taker. You got a giver here because he just wants to give. He wants to help. This is like a mentality of a teacher. So that's the kind of person you want to learn these things from. So make sure you take these steps we talked about today to get into Nathan's inner circle. And therefore, you can start breaking into wholesaling and then take this to a whole other level with your real estate dreams. So thank you very much for tuning in. Make sure you check out those resources. Make sure a first thing you do is go look up the Painless Flipping group on Facebook and make sure that you join that group right there. And then take the next steps to be able to get into wholesaling, get into flipping, and then be able to make a considerable amount of money and even potentially retire early with real estate. Thanks for tuning in. Take care. Have a great day.